Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom. The cat behind me is Kendra. She's, by the time you guys see this, she'll still be 14. She'll be closer to 15. But let's get on to the actual point of this video rather than my cat. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about the first 17 episodes in Crash Course Black History. Crash Course is a go-to of mine. It's really educational content. It's connected with CBS Digital Studios, or PBS Digital Studios, not CBS, PBS, that's Public Broadcasting System. So it's very well written. It's connected to the Brothers Green, which is John and Hank Green, who do a lot of good work in this world. So I am covering episodes 1 through 17. Why do I do this? Because February is a very short month, and there are 52 episodes in this Crash Course collection. So I have to cover them in large groups here. So each one of these episodes is probably under 20 minutes, normally under 15. And they are a window into a point in history. So it's very much an overview and an introduction. Each episode is an introduction to a point in wider Black American history. So let's get started. Why I moved here. So I should look. Cat. So let's get started. So the first episode, of course, is the introduction to Crash Course, basically the preview. It is done by Clint Smith, who I believe is a college professor. He's an African American. So the next episode is the transatlantic slave trade, then slavery in America, then Elizabeth Keyes. That has to do with whether or not a slave is free when she's brought into a non-slave holding country. I believe this was France. Then we move on to episode 4, which is the slave codes, the Georgetown petition, which was the first talk about that slavery is wrong. And then we have the Stono Rebellion, which happened in North Carolina, which was still a colony. We have not reached the American Revolution yet, where Black slaves rebelled. So, and of course, they were not successful. Then we move on to episode 8, which is Phillis Wheatley, who was the first Black published author. Then we have the American Revolution. Then we have the United States Constitution, the 3/5, and the Slave Trade Clause. Basically, what this was, to give you an idea, is, as hopefully commonly known, in the Constitution, in various compromises about the size of the state house, which is determined by population, the Black slaves were considered 3/5 of a person. And after a period of time, the United States would no longer import slaves. So basically, they had to breed the slaves they had. Yes, that counts, of course, but that's how they thought. It was breeding. Very horrible for human beings, but that was how these slave owners who owned other human beings thought. Okay, moving on. The Fugitive Slave Act of 1793. Basically, what this does is it gives permission for people to capture Black escaped slaves, or any Black human they thought were slaves, because that happened, in non-slave holding states. So then we move on to episode 12, which is a woman's experience under slavery. The episode 13, which is Louisiana Rebellion of 1811, slave revolts. Again, obviously it's put down. I believe that was encouraged by the successful slave revolt in I think it's Puerto Rico. Could be wrong. No, it's Haiti. Sorry, wrong country. So moving on is the episode 14, which is the rise of cotton. And then we have Maria Stewart. Let me see who this was. And Maria Stewart was a black woman who lived in the 19th century. She was an abolitionist and writer. So, and then we have episode 16, which talks about the Underground Railroad. And then 17, which is the Dred Scott decision, which basically means you're a slave whether you move across state lines or not. And no, you cannot sue for your freedom. So that is episode 17. In the next episode, next video, which I will be filming after this, and you guys will be seeing next week, I will cover episodes 18 through 34. I do wish this month was longer, or they didn't put African American History Month in February. January might have been better, because that has MLK's birthday, or, more recently, June, where we have Juneteenth. So, but of course that wasn't a thing until recently, at least as a federal holiday. So, each one of these 17 episodes is a gateway into a variety of topics in Black American history. Obviously, the slave trade, the American Revolution, and how it relates to the slave trade, the U.S. Constitution, and how it relates to the slave trade. All of these are huge topics. The Dred Scott decision, these rebellions are completely different topics. So this is a great gateway and introduction to these different topics. And Crash Course does a great job providing this information. I think they might provide resources. Let me see. Yeah, they have their video sources. So you can, for each episode, it provides sources where they got their information. So you can utilize that to expand on your topics and get a wider and more detailed idea on these topics, which is absolutely fantastic that they provide their sources. So that's really it for this video. Again, next video I'm going to be covering 18 through 34. Yeah, I have to do, there are 54 episodes in this. I have to do them in 3 videos. So, it's going to go fast. So if you like what you see, be sure to check the rest of the channel. I am covering Black History Month. I have pretty much covered Black History Month every February. So you can check out my, my entire playlist for, African American history, which also includes a bit of African history in there. It goes between fiction, nonfiction, various different films. So you can cover those. I do a variety of different topics every year. Obviously, I do Black History Month pretty much every February. This year, I'm actually doing Women's History Month in March rather than Irish History Month. I'm covering the Titanic in April. This past January, if you want to check out those videos, I did some interesting scattered videos on different hobbies that are a little bit more intense. We're talking metalworking and things like that in this case. So, and cheese making. And I have a cat who's messing around here. Cat with my mic. Let's see, what else am I covering this year? Titanic is in April. I'm covering Asian American History Month, specifically looking at Angel Island. In May, I'm doing the opposite side of the country. I'm looking at Ellis Island and immigration through the East. In June, come July, I'm covering, I believe it's women inventors is what I'm covering in July. I think that's, yeah, right. August, I think I'm covering food. September, I'm covering Beauty and the Beast. I'm going in depth with that, including the original stories. That's October, I'm covering space. That's what I'm doing. And then November, I'm covering the Hindu festival of Diwali, and then I'm doing mysteries in December. So I'm also covering various book series this year. I've already covered Catherine Lasky's I think her Bears on Ice is what it's called. It's her polar bear series. That is an extension of the Guardians of Ga'Hoole and the Wolves of Beyond, which I have already covered in 2023. I'm actually filming it in July 2023. So I think those videos are going. So you can check those out. I'm also covering Animorphs this year in a rushed format. Unfortunately, there's a lot of books in there, and I did not have time to cover them all in depth. Now, I'm covering more in depth. I'm covering the Anne of Green Gables series, including all the short story collections, the 4 films that Sullivan did, as well as the 7-series television show. Yes, I own them. I have not watched them yet. I need to. Ooh, I watched them as a child. Then I'm covering the Boxcar Children, and I'm ending the year off with Wings of Fire. So that is a fantasy series that I have never read. So that is it for this video. If you like what you see, like and subscribe. Look at what I've got and look forward to more. Thank you.